Hi everybody, how you doing? This is Johnny Silman here from The Way, the Warrior Arts of Indonesia. So you can see today on the Warrior Arts podcast, which is now episode 7, I'm doing something a little different. I'm here with my very good friend and bro, Stan Diamond Prescott. How are you, Stan?
Fine, John, right?
Yeah.
Hello, everybody.
And Stan and I have tried to do this podcast now several times, doing the way that we do it using over the Riverside system, where you see both myself and the guest, and then we put that together. But we've had a lot of problems with that, so we finally come to the conclusion, let's try it a different way. Let's come here in person and try it out that way. So here we are, and I'm sure it's going to be a great episode. In fact, I know it is, because it's probably going to be a little bit explosive in some ways and maybe a little bit controversial, but we'll see where the topic takes us. So before I just introduce Stan fully and we go into his story, we just want to, for Stan and I, we discussed this beforehand, we want this episode to be a tribute to the late Gary Innes, who was Stan's boxing coach for many years, his mentor, a deep father figure. And so this episode is dedicated to the memory of the professor, as we like to call him, Professor Gary Innes, who was a fantastic man, great martial artist, great coach, had coached many pros in boxing, in Thai boxing as well. He helped me to improve my striking to no end. So this episode is dedicated to the Professor Gary Innes.
You should end up with L shape. Legs tucked into your arms, legs out. This is a very good exercise. Helping the core, your shoulders, your back, your legs, your arms. That's how you learn to do hands. Put it left down, put it down. Try this out, now left foot. Here, and then come here, and then come up, and then push it.
But if you're not a fighter who has skills, what's the point? If you don't have skills, you don't have no knowledge, what is your preparation to fight?
That's right, yeah. Okay, got it.
If a man has got 2 eyes and one has got 1 eye, are they equal? The answer no, they're not equal. Because one has got 2 eyes and one has got 1 eye. And what happens is that some guys are gifted to the fact that they're better athletes. That means they move better, they've got better coordination. So it's about ability. And then you've got some people who, what they were doing, they were successful in what they're doing, so therefore they're not going to change. You don't fix a vase if it's not broken. But if the individual decides, you know what, I want to improve, I need more skills. Because when I'm in there, I'm getting tense, I'm trying too hard, I'm loading up on my punches, I don't move my head, I don't move my shoulder, I don't slip, I don't do this, I don't that. I need to improve. That individual wants to improve. That individual will improve.
That's right.
So, on with the podcast. Stan, how you been, mate?
I've been good, John. Not bad, you know what I mean? You know, just getting on with things.
Yeah.
You know, since the sad loss of Gary, just pulling things back together, just moving on.
It's quite hard.
Yeah.
It's taken time. He was a larger than life character.
Yeah.
And I certainly know one thing, how he helped improve my striking ability to no end. And we'll probably put a little bit of video up, just segments, so you can just kind of see some of the drills that Gary did. But we'll talk a little bit more about the boxing as we go, because it's obviously a very important part of your life. But Stan, you know, you're someone who I met first of all in, I think it was 2002. Yeah, 2002.
Something like that.
Yeah. And it was we'd met at well, just before the old East West Studios opened.
Yeah.
But can you tell us how you came to Silat? And we'll jump back and forth with your family life and obviously your early martial arts career. But I just want to start at that point. How is it that a former professional boxer, right, undefeated by the way, yeah, came into the martial art of Pencak Silat? Tell us about that story, Sam.
That was a funny story, really, because it's like I got introduced to Silat through an old friend of ours, Pat Graham. You know what I mean? Pat, you out there? Big up. Yeah. So when Pat came to one of the bars I was working, and I haven't seen Pat for years. And so he was asking me, he said, yeah, Stan, what's happening? You know, what you been up to now? You still boxing? I said, nah, mate, I've retired now. So he said, what are you doing? I said, well, I was still messing around with the Thai boxing, but I come back from Thailand at that time, and I said, you know what? Something's missing. You know what I mean? So I'm going to retire from that as well. So he says, well, so what are you going to do? And I said, well, I heard about this art called Silat. So I think I'm going to look into it and give it a shot. And he goes, what, Silat? I goes, yeah. He goes, listen, come and train with me, because I do Silat. I said, what? He says, yeah. He says, meet me here at Maida Vale on a Wednesday at this time, blah, blah, blah. And you can start. Will you start training with me and some of the guys? I'll introduce you to a guy who does Silat. So I said, okay. Met him, saw it, and I said, okay, let's get on to this. So from there, done it for about 7 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And, you know, you'd come from a background of professional boxing and Muay Thai as well. You'd done a lot of Muay Thai post your boxing career. You know, to so many people, the art of Pencak Silat would be something so left field, so different from how your movement was as a pro fighter to embracing a completely new way of moving. Can you tell us a little bit about what that was like? How easy was it for you to kind of embrace those new ideas, that complete new way of moving? What was that like as you started that process?
Well, at first, it was a bit hard to digest, because the Silat was a lot of ground, then upright, then ground, you know what I mean? Learning all the ground stuff and all that. It was different. It was very different, you know, different body mechanics, because I'm used to more of upright fighting. Even with the kicks and knees and all the elbows, it was still upright combat, you know, and then to learn ground combat and fight at a lower stance in certain cases. Yeah. It was different, but like the way I looked at it is like, this is the challenge of life. A river never runs smooth, it goes up and down.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So it's best to learn things that is out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And again, because I'm starting something new, it gave me that new drive to enjoy training again.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And like, Silat weren't very popular then. It wasn't very popular.
No.
You know, even now, it still ain't very popular.
Yeah.
So like, a lot of the time when you tell people, oh, well, I'm doing Silat now, they're like, what's that?
They hadn't even heard of it.
Yeah, never heard of it. You know what I mean? What, martial arts from Indonesia? Nah, I never heard of that, mate. You know? But again, Silat has some very good techniques.
Yeah.
Very good techniques. And I'm all about, you know what? If there's something good, I'm up for learning it.
So what were, you know, during those early formative months and you know, the first couple of years, what were the things specifically that stood out for you? And I'll hold that point. So just so we can be clear, where Stan had learnt, first of all, with, as I said, you came with Pat, and it was at the old, well, just prior, and then it became to East West Studios, which was in Hendon in northwest London, and that was a full-time academy that was mainly spearheaded by Steve Benitez, who teaches Satria martial arts. Myself, I was teaching kind of like the Chimande, and Alvin and Chris. So it was a collaborative effort, but Steve was the main teacher there, and that's what you were doing. So what were the standout kind of things that you thought, I really like this?
What I really liked about it was like the explosive movement on how, you know, you can move in and take someone down very quickly. Yeah, that was one of the things I really liked about it. And some of the conditioning, and Silat is a very deadly art if it's trained in the right way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But again, you have to have eyes to see.
You have to have eyes to see.
Yeah, because if you don't, you're going to miss it.
Yeah.
Because the way Silat is taught, if you do it exactly how certain people teach it, it will not work.
It would not work. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because me personally, at first, I was struggling with it. Yeah, it's with some of the stances, some of the techniques I was being taught. Because I thought to myself, well, how does this fit in to what I do? You know, how does it fit in? And I mean, like, there was multiple attacker situations, but that's not the type of multiple attacking situation I've been used to.
No, which we will touch on, actually.
You know what I mean? But then I found an angle that helped me learn the Silat.
Yeah.
Yeah, which was by seeing it as reverse boxing.
Yeah. How explain that?
Well, the boxing stance is this way, the Silat stance is that way.
Yeah.
So I just changed it to this way.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So I turned facing the opposite way.
Yeah.
Here, and my attacks is like I'm moving in, like a boxer. So that's how I that's how I got to get the grips of learning Silat, understanding Silat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And again, I learned it by basing everything on the L step.
Yeah.
Because the L step is a transition to the boxing stance.
Yeah.
That's how I looked at it. So I learned everything around there. So in a nutshell, I just added Silat to my boxing.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because I've had that foundation, the boxing and the Thai boxing. Instead of me, I was struggling to try to throw everything away and learned it from scratch. So I just added it to what I know already.
Yeah.
And it made more sense to me.
How long did that process take for you to feel, you know what, I've integrated and assimilated this, and I can actually get it to work in a real kind of situation?
Right, now this may sound funny, yeah, but that actually took me about 6 months.
6 months, yeah.
Yeah, it took me about 6 months, because I just look at what is real,
yeah,
to what is not real,
yeah,
and I work on the stuff that I believe is real,
yeah,
and from working that way, I shortened the stance.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And I adapted it to suit me. Because when I was trying to do it the way like everyone else was, it wouldn't work for me.
yeah.
But then when I adapted it, shortened the stance a bit and adapted it to suit me, I found I started to flow.
Yeah.
I found I started to flow.
I want to give a little bit of context here, because obviously, as I've mentioned, Stan was a pro boxer, super middleweight, undefeated before he retired for certain reasons. But also a doorman for a good number of years, and had seen a lot of action on the doors, a lot, as a lot of doormen would. You know, we've heard the stories of many doormen writing their memoirs, and it's one of those professions where you are going to be kind of faced potentially with a lot of violent situations.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Very good. So yeah, good man. But you know, just for context, are you able to kind of share a few stories? And the reason why I want you to be able to share stories, the ones that you're comfortable sharing, is because when we look at something like a Silat or any martial art, in fact, sometimes what you're doing within the training hall, the Padepokan, can give you a nice sense of flow, and it's nice exercise and it's good movement and great drills. But the true brutal reality is, and you're smiling already, is that when, and I have to say this, when the shit hits the fan, a lot of those things that are trained in that pattern and in that sequence, they will not work.
Nah.
Right? So can you first kind of give a few examples, maybe cherry pick a couple that you're okay to kind of share? And just to give the context of, number one, how you felt going through it, but also that actually in that moment, sometimes it's not even about martial arts, it's psychology, isn't it? Which is something completely different. So please, it would be really good to hear that.
I can give you some stories, but I'm going to give all the ones that have been legally dealt with.
Yeah, okay.
Right?
All right.
So I want to start off. There was one incident I had at one time, right? It was a guy who was bullying one of the girls behind the bar. Yeah? So they had a couple of drinks. You know, it's coming to the end of the night. The bar's closed. This guy's harassing the girl. We spent a lot of money. We want to have more drinks and this and that. And she's saying, we can't serve you because it's after 12. The bar's closed. And he's going on. So she comes and calls me. So I walk over to the guy and goes, listen, I'll tell you what, we can't serve no more drinks, but I'll let you and your mates stay behind and finish your drinks. Yeah, that's the best I can do for you. And we cleared out everybody, they were still there. Turned around, he's gone and harassed her. I mean, really harassing her, you know what I mean? So she comes back to me again and I says to him, listen, don't lay another finger on her, because if you lay another finger on her, it's not going to end well. It won't end well for you. So leave her alone. You got your drinks, finish your drinks, then you can leave. This guy didn't listen. He went back and I think he started touching her up a bit, roughing her up like. So then I went over to him. Keezer took a dig at me. Yeah, so honestly, I ducked down, went straight into the L step. I took him down and I held him. Looked at my mate, he looked at me and I went, yeah. He goes, no. I went, yeah. Gave him the old Rice Krispies treatment. You know what I mean? And I dealt with that, mate, severely. That was dealt with sweet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For those of you who don't know what Rice Krispies treatment mean, John, tell them.
Oh, so it's a bit of a break, shall we say?
Snap, crackle and pop. You know what I mean? Listen, he got what he deserved. You know what I mean? He was warned. He wouldn't leave her alone. So, yeah, that situation got dealt with.
Yeah.
You know, they called the police. It was a clear, you know, thing of self-defense. So that situation got squashed.
Yeah.
But that's just to show you that Silat does work.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
You know what I mean? It does work. And when I needed it in a combat situation,
Yeah.
it was dynamic.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But the point is I think as much of that is got to do with your own mindset as an individual. Because, you know, how much have we heard about the moment before physical engagement happens, there's that pre-fight, and that moment, that might be like a few seconds or so, but being in that state where you don't freeze, where you don't kind of clam up, whereas, you know, and we've discussed this, and you've seen this obviously firsthand yourself, some really skilled martial artists, when it comes down to it, have literally frozen.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of guys freeze.
Yeah. And what do you think causes that freezing, Stan?
You know, I'll be honest with you, like, it's one thing in the gym. But when it comes to a real life situation, that really tests you to see if you got bottle or not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And a lot of guys, they've got it in the gym. But when it comes to actually pulling things off and doing what they're supposed to do, they don't have that battlefield confidence.
Yeah. Yeah.
You understand?
Can that, do you think that is just instinctive, or do you think that can be trained? Because you and I know people who are lovely individuals.
Yep.
And here's the point is, everybody does martial arts, or in this case Silat, for different reasons. Not everybody goes into Silat because they want to kind of fight. However, everybody should go into it with the idea that if a situation happened to a loved one, a family member, that they are more than capable to be able to defend themselves and their loved ones. That has to be a fundamental. But if that's not kind of trained, or at least the subject is at least kind of brought to highlight during training sessions, then all it becomes is kind of like exercise, and good physical exercise, and it can breed sometimes a false sense of security.
Yes.
So can that be trained? And if so, how might that be trained for people to bring those kind of combative responses out, should we say?
It can be trained. It can be trained. But people are divided into 3 sections. You got your easygoing guy, then you got your guy that likes to bully people, and then you got your guy that is capable of excess brutality. Yeah, the easygoing guy, he hasn't got that in him. The bully guy, it's all right when he's on top, but when it gets on top of him, he falls. He hasn't got it. The guy that's capable of extreme brutality, he can do it all.
Yeah.
He can do it all. Now, I would say for the guy who's an easygoing guy, you have to let him find inside himself something for him to fight for. Because
good point.
In any circumstances, any human being can become a killer.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? He has to find something inside him to fight for. Now, it would be our job as a trainer to help him dig deep inside himself to find something that he needs to fight for.
Yeah.
But you can't give him that. And if he can't find something inside himself for him to fight for, he will never be able to muster up that fire. You know what I mean? This is just my opinion. You know, the bully guy, he's got the fire, but he's only got the fire for easy prey. Yeah, he's a liberty taker.
Yeah.
But when someone takes liberty with him, really and truly, he's that scared kid that's just trying to prove, you know, I'm a tough guy, but not really. And then you got the guy who usually, he's the one that keeps quiet and calm. He's the dangerous one. Yeah, he's the one that's capable of extreme brutality.
Yeah.
And sometimes this guy might look like what you call a nerd, but he could be deep down inside him, he's a bloody serial killer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I would say it's all about somebody finding something worth fighting for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And when you're in a situation, the best thing to do is to if you get too fiery, the adrenaline's gonna burn you out. Yeah. And you might get a rush. And because you're getting that adrenaline rush, it might make you freeze if you don't know how to control it. It might be too overwhelming. You know what I mean? Some guys, the situation makes them freeze. It's a sign of fear. But we all have fear. Any man that says he doesn't have fear is a liar. We all have fear. It's just what you do with your fear.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We all have fear. You know, me personally, when I'm in a situation and it starts going off, I do get nervous. I get nervous. I get a little scared. But what I do is I calm everything down. Yeah, and that means I will stop engaging in argument or whatever. If they're shouting, I keep quiet. I calm everything down. And then I get to a stage where it's going to sound weird, but everything starts moving in slow motion for me. You know what I mean? And the first thing I'm going to do is be aware of my environment.
Yeah.
More than my opponent.
Why is that, Stan? Like, can you explain that a little bit?
Because sometimes the guy who's mouthing off in front of you is a distraction. You got to see what's going on. Because sometimes you could be arguing with this guy and he's mouthing off, you're mouthing off, and now you're blinded because you only see him, but you don't see his man trying to flank you. You don't see his other mates, they're all trying to enclose you into a circle where you're on your own. The first thing you got to do is more look at what's going on around him and around you, because this guy might change position. The moment this guy changed position, he's not the one that's going to make the move, it's him.
Yeah.
He's going to make that first move.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or this guy might change position, or they both might move. So when they move, you move. You know what I mean? Then you make it aware to them that you know they're moving. Like, oh, what's up, mate? Where you going? You freeze them in his tracks now. The other guy, oh, so what are you up to? And then again, it's to have good people around you.
Yeah.
That's
in a
door situation.
Obviously in a door situation, but
if I'm on my own,
yeah,
it's the same situation. I have to be aware of what's going on around me.
Yeah.
You know, and while he's mouthing off, if I keep engaging with him, I'm missing escape points. I'm missing points where this guy can move in an attack, or he can move in all that, and before I know it, I'm surrounded. That's not where you want to be.
So what you're saying is there's actually a lot more to kind of self-defense, regardless of whether it's Silat or any martial art, than just the physical techniques of the martial art.
Yeah, the physical techniques is the last resort.
It's the last resort, yeah.
Yeah, the fight is the last resort.
Yeah.
Listen, your conflict starts from when you and the guy starts to argue.
Yeah.
Or from when this guy starts to front you. Yeah. Now, I always say your first self-defense is the words you use. Yeah, because if you use the wrong words, it's on. Sometimes if you use the right words, situation can be squashed.
Absolutely. Which is the best outcome all the time.
Which is always the best outcome.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The physical side of it is the last part.
Yeah.
But let's look at the reality of it. And the reality is this. No matter how fit your body is, if your mind's not in tune, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you ain't got that mental experience, it's not going to work. And this is why sparring is a good thing.
Yeah, and this is a good segue into that whole aspect of sparring and in pressure testing your skills. We see quite a lot of martial arts do it. So ones that are obviously deemed seemingly the most effective, like boxing, like Thai boxing, like any form of kind of grappling, where they're constantly putting pressure and being able to pull off techniques under pressure and also keep calm. They seem to be the ones that, if someone's in a bit of a situation, these are the ones that come out first because they have been pressure tested. I think with Silat, it seems like there can be a lack of it or an understanding of how to pressure test it. If you were teaching Silat, based with what you know and all these things, how would you pressure test it or teach students the best way, a progressive way to actually begin to get responses from the techniques that they've been learning through a lot more static drills and judos and things like that?
It's how I would teach the drills.
Yeah.
You understand? I would teach the drills more from an engaging sparring point. So this is where I'm building you up for sparring. So instead of just doing a drill like, I hit you, I stick my arm out there and you pull off 25 punches, which is not realistic, because if you have to hit a guy 25 times, there's something wrong. And who's going to stand there like a dummy to let you work on them for 25 bloody times?
Yeah. That point almost becomes where it's almost like fight choreography rather than actual,
I can understand it for the beginning, but you can't stick to that type of stuff because it's just delusional.
Yeah.
You know, I would have them work in a drill where I want the guy to really hit at their face. So if they don't do a block properly or they don't move properly, you're going to get touch. When you get used to doing drills that way, I said, no, don't hit at his face.
Yeah.
Go at his face or hit him to the body. Because the first thing I want is to take away that fear of getting hit.
That's a big thing. Just on a point of that, I always remember a famous story by Sugar Ray Leonard. You know, Sugar Ray Leonard, the most legendary boxer. He had been out of the game for a long time.
Yeah.
And, you know, think about all the sparring and the fights he had, but he'd come back after a big break. And the interviewer said, what was the hardest thing about coming back into the boxing? Was it the training? He said, no. He said it was the fear of getting hit again.
Fear of getting hit.
And that's Sugar Ray Leonard. So if it's someone that has been used to it or he has a reference point of what that's like, you know, hundreds of hours of sparring and kind of like in the ring, how much more must people who have never really been exposed to that very much begin to get that, Stan?
And then, well, you got to look at it. He was in the ring for years. And because he took time out, his nervous system got rewired.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but he's lucky because he's got muscle memory.
Yeah.
So he will get, after a few sessions, he's okay. To a guy that has never been hit before and now he's getting hit, he's terrified.
Yeah.
You know, all you have to do is wave your hand past his face and he's panicking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's to get him to get over that situation. Yeah. And that's just doing drills where you're hitting on his hand or doing things where it's not realistically coming to his face. He always will panic if you hit him to the face.
Yeah.
He always will.
Yeah.
You know, so you have to show him, look, man, you got to learn how to move your head.
Yeah.
You got to learn how to block. You know what I mean? Even if we're doing a drill, it's aimed at your face. Because anything that comes at the face, the first thing you're going to do is flinch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And to a guy that's never been hit to the face or not used to getting hit to the face, he's going to fall apart. Especially when it gets real. Because there's a saying Mike Tyson used to say, everyone's got a plan until you punch him in the face. And it's true. I've seen guys who are good at martial arts in the controlled environment. And when we get out there and someone throws one punch, they lose it. They lose it. They freeze. They can't operate. Yeah. And I'm like, mate, you just told me you're flipping second dan. And you're telling me a street fighter guy has made you cack yourself. You know what I mean? Come on, man. Your training it's a waste of time.
Yeah.
I mean,
so is that then the martial art or just the methodology of training?
No, the methodology.
Yeah.
The methodology. Look, to me, I know people will say this martial art is shit, that one's crap, that one's this, that one's that. Listen, it wouldn't have lasted so long if it weren't good. If something didn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah. A strike is a strike at the end of the day. It may be different from the way someone else strikes, but a strike is a strike. Yeah. If your method of delivering that strike is wrong, it's like you taking a train and going to Brighton and saying you wanted to go to Bristol. It's not gonna you're not gonna get there, are you? So to me, it's the training method of the art that is taught wrong. I've heard guys tell me, oh, Silat is crap. Silat is crap. I said, is it? I said, all right, let's play. And then when I use my Silat on them, they're saying something else. Silat ain't rubbish. It's just the method how some people teach it is not correct.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like, I will say I was very fortunate because I came from a background where I used boxing style training to develop my Silat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even when we were practicing Silat on the pads, you know, me and my guys, it would never be like, oh, you hit there, you do this or do that. No, the pads is coming back at you. it's coming back at you because I'm using it in the boxing method way.
Yeah.
That pad is coming back at you. Why? I'm not saying boxing is the best, but boxing training has been trialed and tested and it works. Muay Thai training has been trialed and tested and it works.
Yeah.
Because of the training methods.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And to me, I'm not interested in arts where people don't get physical.
Yeah.
Jiu-jitsu, grappling, wrestling, it works because from day one, you're in a human body, you're in contact with the body.
Yeah.
You know, you're getting roughed up, sorry. You're getting roughed up from the get-go. There's no messing around.
Yeah.
Now, certain arts that don't have that, when a guy gets touched, man, he sees it really coming at him. It's not going his way. He's gonna bloody panic. You know what I mean? And that's what cripples a lot of people is the fear.
Yeah.
You've never fought, you've never sparred before. You've never been hit in the face before. You've never took a proper body shot before. You've never took a low kick before. And when you get the first one, you go into shock.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is why sparring plays a big role if you're doing a combat sport.
Yeah.
Sparring and the methodology of training. If you're just going to learn forms and you're not interested in that side, well, don't expect it to work. You understand? Because forms is an expression of movement. Yeah? It's just showing you how to practice that form, how to practice your moves without the full application. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To actually make that work, you have to have a partner and you have to like spar with it.
Yeah.
You have to apply the applications.
Yeah.
Even applying the applications in a training simulation, it's not going to be the same as when you use it in sparring or when you use it outside. It's completely different. You got a lot of guys, they look good when they're in the gym or training in a controlled environment, but when they get out there in a real chair up, it's scrappy.
It's scrappy. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, even with a lot of martial arts in a real situation, it doesn't necessarily look like that martial art anyway that you've trained it, does it?
It doesn't. Look, I'll be honest with you, yeah. Certain guys do martial arts, this type of martial art, that, and then when it comes to a scrap, it actually looks more like kickboxing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Actually, some of them don't even look like you say, oh, he's been trained? Yeah. He doesn't look like that. And then this is another thing where you do one drill and you're doing 20, 30 punch combination. That's not going to work outside, man. Because let's face it, yeah, when you're fighting someone outside, if you can't control your energy, you've got about 30 seconds in you.
Yeah.
Some people may say, no, you're wrong. No, but it's true. Because the first thing is going to be scrappy. Punches are going to be all over the place. And if you get involved in that, the adrenaline's going to kill you. And I mean, you know, a smart thing to do is like, if I don't take a guy out within 2-3 shots and we're going, I let him get involved in a scrap, then all I do is pull back. That couple seconds I'll pull out, he's blowing. His adrenaline has flipping killed his energy. And that's when I move in and take him out again. Just a few seconds, just pull back, just move around. And the next thing you see, then I'll move in and take you out. Why? Because your adrenaline has took over and killed you. That's not happening with me, bro. No. I control that.
You heard it.
You understand?
Which brings me on to the next subject of weapons defense.
Weapons defense.
I don't know if you want to share a couple of stories with blades or with anything like that. It's up to you. It's just, I only say for Stan to share the stories, not to say, oh, you know, the big iron, but to give kind of context of what like real scenarios can be like. So I don't know if there's anything you want to cherry pick of any sort of stories and then kind of like relate that back to how that would be very different from how people are training kind of like maybe knife defense or so. And you know.
Well, I'm going to tell you a story, but I'm not going to mention no names. All right. Now, allegedly, Yeah, I was with a certain character. Yeah. Now this guy is actually, he's about 6'5", about 6'5", 6'4". Yeah, not mentioning no names. Now,
Okay.
we was in a situation, yeah, and someone pissed him off. Now this guy, he walked away and he came back and he had a newspaper in his hand, yeah, and he moved in on this guy. He lifted him up like that. The other guy was quite tall as well, but he was taller. He lifted the guy up and he hit him, poked him with a paper about 3-4 times, and then let him go and walked off. The guy went straight down. And I don't care what knife defense you do.
It wasn't just the paper though, that's the point.
It wasn't the paper, the blade was in the paper.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? And I'll be honest with you, I don't care what knife defense you do, you wouldn't have defend against that. Because this guy had a move, and I've seen him do this a few times against guys who even are martial artists, and it bloody works. He just, first thing he does, one hand on the throat, you ain't gonna even see the other hand come out. He just bang, 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 and then he's off. You drop down. And from what I see with knife defense training, I don't see, none of the stuff I see people do would be able to stop that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've seen guys do things to say, yeah, well, this is how you deal with a guy with a knife, you know, and they're all using the knife in the same way because these guys are doing the same art. It's a control thing with the knife. They're moving the knife like they're professionals. But if you really, my opinion, if you really want to train knife techniques, you need to get a real dude from the street. You know what I mean? Like this guy I'm talking about, he was an ex-football hooligan. You need to get someone like that to train a knife technique with, because these are the type of guys that's going to come at you with a knife. You're not going to get no one that's going to play the game here. No, these guys are going to come at you like this, like bloody natter. That's what you're going to get with a guy using a knife.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying knife drills don't work. They do work. They help you. Yeah. But don't think everyone's going to use the knife like how you assimilated training it with the gym.
Yeah. And there's very little in the way of dueling, like blade on blade.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I know we've seen stuff, and we've seen a little bit recently. There's been stuff come on, that CCTV footage that's been caught of guys with zombie knives, you know, in the street fighting guys with zombie knives and stuff. But everyone's quite standoffish in terms, because nobody wants to get slashed. It's the first one going in, but it is happening a lot more, certainly here in London, where Stan and I live. Unfortunately, it's probably one of the biggest sort of stab capitals in the world, and it's all too frequent. How can is there, again, going back to that whole kind of pre-fight mindset of being aware of your surroundings and not being in that situation, how can someone avoid that? And if there's absolutely, there's no way, like, because they always say if you can run, but if there's no way at all that you can run, what would be the best way, in your opinion, of minimizing damage to kind of like, you know, vital organs? Is there a kind of a way of positioning your body? Is there something that you could do that might protect that? What's your thought process on that?
Yeah, I believe you can.
Yeah.
It's how you angle your body.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But know this, if a guy pulls a knife at you and you and him's going to get in a situation, there's a 90% chance you're going to get wet. You're going to get cut.
Going to get cut. Yeah.
Yeah. So don't be delusional. Think that you're not going to get cut. I've been in a knife situation. I got cut. You understand what I'm saying? And you know what I mean? There's getting cut and there's how you get cut. You know what I mean? Sometimes you have to take one to be able to deal with your opponent.
Yeah.
You know, but my best advice to anybody is, if you and a guy is in a situation, the moment you see him put his hand in that jacket, you attack.
Yeah.
You understand? Any form of hand movement outside. If that hand goes into the jacket, you're moving. If the hand,
Any cues, any kind of positions where they're having a little look round at something, seeing if there's anything.
listen, the moment you see a guy looking around and puts his hand in his jacket because he's looking around to see if there's any cameras. Yeah. Or he's looking around to see, who's there, because I'm going to stab this guy. You know what I mean? So a lot of guys do that sometimes, do that, have a little look and then they pull out. You know what I mean? The moment that guy puts his hand in his jacket, just wait till he's making the up movement, till it's coming up. Then you're moving on him. You know what I mean? Pin that inside. And don't be trying to wrestle the knife out of his hand. No, you got to hit him as hard as you can. Rapidly. Hold that hand and hit him rapidly. Make that hand belong to you. You know what I mean? If it comes up, have it in a position where you actually can make him stab himself. Because if the knife is out here, it's 90-10. The moment that blade is exposed and it comes out, he's got the advantage. He's, as an old Caribbean say, he's got the handle, you got the blade. You know what I mean? So to me, it's not let the blade come up. And again, it's to learn certain tricks, on how to draw him out, because like, I'm going to tell you about an incident with me and a guy went to pull a gun on me. This is a crazy one. But I remember where we was working and like all the cab drivers there, and like the cab drivers are my mates, so we all work together, you know what I mean? Every time I get him a fare, I get a little percentage, whatever. We all work together. So I went away for about 2 weeks. I went on holiday, and apparently some guy comes around the area and he's trying to take over the whole scene, the whole area, like. And when I come back, the cab drivers are coming up to me and saying, there's this guy going around and he's taking all our jobs, you know what I mean? And he's saying we have to pay him money and he threatened us with a gun and this, that, the other. And I goes, like, not on my spot, mate. Not around here. He goes, yes. Honestly, he's trying to do that. I goes, what? So who's this? Who's this geezer? You know what I mean? So then later on that evening, I'll get one of the cab driver guys a fare, and in 2-2s, I'll go away. I'll go back inside, do a couple of things. The next thing I know, I come out, the guy's telling me, the guy robbed him. I said, what do you mean the guy robbed you? Took the fare and this and that. I said, no, you can't do that around here. So then I saw the guy coming and he goes, there he is. So I goes, oi, Charlie, come here. You know what I mean? So the guy comes, he goes, what? I said, what are you harassing my cab drivers for? I said, these guys, they work with me. What are you at? He goes, no. This is my manor. They work with me now. I goes, no. I don't think so. I said, these guys work with me. And I said, you know what? From now on, you don't come around here no more. You don't trouble none of them. And he's like, no, listen, mate, I'll shoot you in your bloody head. So I goes, you got one on you, have you? And he opens his jacket, he goes, so I goes, okay then, Charlie, right there. Shoot me right there. Do it. Right in the fucking head. Shoot me right there. Excuse my language, sorry. Right there. So this guy goes to draw. But what he didn't see is that I slid my front foot forward. I flipping hid my hand behind my leg. Like right there, I'm hiding my hand. As soon as he went in, I went bang. His jaw went that way. He spat around like a cartoon. The gun went that way. He went that way. He's out. He's done. Finito. Finished. Now, I don't know what got into my head. But I just reacted straight away. It's not like I had it planned. I was like, the chick of this guy come around there and then you're saying you're going to shoot me in my head. Get out of town. Who you think you are? You know what I mean? Who you think you are? Flip me Charlie Big Potatoes. You know what I mean? I just stuck it right here, mate. Right here. You know what I mean? When he went, right, went out, bang! This guy was sleeping. The only thing I didn't have for him was a bloody pillow. You know what I mean? Yeah. Flipping cops come. He went off in an ambulance because he was, when the guy, his jaw was that way and he's You know what I mean? His jaw was flipping, swinging like a pendulum, mate. You know what I mean? He was gone. I clocked him sweet. You know what I mean? I clocked him. But again, it's the trickery. But I'm not saying go out and do that. Nah. Because I'll be honest with you, John, I don't know what got into me. I just reacted to the situation. You know, if I did have really sit back and thought about it, I might not have done it. But then again, I might have got shot. You know what I mean? And the funny thing about it is I didn't get nervous until a few hours later on.
Wow.
When I really thought about what could have happened.
Yeah.
Because the first thing that came into my head was like, this is an insult. Who do you think you're talking to? You know what I mean? You want it, let's have it. You know what I mean? I'm the gunslinger around here, mate. They don't call these the Mac 10 for nothing, man. I tell you that. I proved it that night.
The good old days, eh,
Yeah,
Stan?
the good old days, mate.
But you know, you've moved away from the door work into coaching. You'd had a wonderful trip, a long trip to Thailand, where you'd finished with Silat. I mean, you and I, we were doing a little bit. We were doing little bits of Silat, and I think, you know, just keeping your hand in it. But it took you in a little bit of another direction, and you went to Thailand, to northern Thailand, to a real kind of spiritual place in Chiang Rai. What was that whole experience for you like there, meeting the monk, Parkrubar, and again, coming back to the methodology of Thai, because it was very unlike Thai boxing, wasn't it, Stan?
Yeah. Well, that was one of the best experiences of my life, because I found what was missing in the Thai boxing. I actually found what was missing. And I had to go on a journey of self to literally find that. But I got what was missing. I mean, the teaching of the Thai boxing there was completely different to how people trained it here, or how they train it, how they were teaching Westerners at the time. You know what I mean? It was completely different. And it was a spiritual thing as well. You know, I mean, a lot of people may think I'm talking crap, but that's your opinion, you know. Everyone has their own form of spirituality, you know what I mean, or their own beliefs. But for me, it was a spiritual experience for me. It was a life-changing experience for me. Because I actually learned Thai the proper old-fashioned way. And that's when I found the similarity of the Thai boxing and the Silat. I know it sounds weird.
No, it may be for some, but there is a big connection there. What was it that you saw?
This is where I found the similarity. The similarity was from the training from the ground upwards. Yeah. And some of the ground movements in the Silat is actually the base foundation of the Thai boxing. You understand? The Silat people may call it Cochin, the cat's dance or whatever. All that is part of the Thai system, especially in the Y crew. All those techniques are in there.
Well, interestingly, holding that point, Stan, because interestingly, Guru Ed will have said that, you know, there's some documentation that he wrote talking about Kuchiang Siam. Okay, so it was an old Thailand. Harimau Champa, which is Kampuchea, which was Vietnam or one of those, Laos, one of those countries around there. So Southeast Asia has quite a big influence, and maybe India as well, that whole region as a big influence into how kind of maybe martial movement also found its way into, you know, what is now Indonesia now, those islands, you know. So there's definitely a link with those.
Yeah, well, a lot of the movements are very similar. They are very similar. And then I get to find out that deep in the south of Thailand, they have Silat as well.
Yeah, that's right.
Now, the northern style of Thai as well some of the old stuff is very similar to Silat
Yeah.
because some of it stems from the Lana Kingdom.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And even some of the movements is similar to certain Indian arts. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
There's so much in the Thai box, in the Muay Thai, that we don't get to see because everyone's only focused on sport in Thai or ring stuff. You know what I mean? Or people focus on certain Muay Barani techniques. But there's different styles of Muay Thai. I'll say no.
But for you, that, like you just referenced it yourself, that spiritual experience of really trying to kind of leave, and you did, of course, and I'm so proud of you for, you know, leaving an old life that you'd had way before and going into different things to the point of you teaching students of your own experience and trying to mentor in the same way like that Gary mentored you, you know, mentoring some of your amazing guys who are fantastic martial artists in their own right as well. You know, for all of that stuff now, I know you're not publicly teaching any kind of Silat, but, you know, your focus is on your sort of blend of Thai, Muay Thai, which is Sinto Tong Muay Thai, which you teach in London. How have you kind of set up your curriculum? What have you done in terms of if someone came in and they were going to go into your school, what format do you have of where you take someone that maybe hasn't done anything at all and you take them through kind of like a process?
Well, the first process, they have to learn the 3 basic steps. Yeah. Now, you got to understand, like, the Thai system I learned is the Myanmar Tiger system. Yeah. So the most important thing they're going to learn is what we call a tiger walk.
The tiger walk.
Yeah. So once you learn the tiger walk, the whole system is basically just in that one movement, in the walking. Then from there, I'm going to teach you a technique called Samkum, which is like a 3-step evasion. You know, so that's going to get you moving quickly. Moving quickly. You throw 3 kicks, 1, 2, 3, and you have to get out the way. That's teaching you evasion, attack, and countering. Then the next thing I'm going to drill you with is the next one called Samsao, which is a low, medium, high movement. So someone throws a low kick, you jump over. He throws a stomach kick, you pull out the way. Throws a head kick, you drop down.
So it's interesting because from day one, there's a dynamic movement going on. It isn't, by what you're saying, it's not static at all.
No.
You're moving and getting mobility and reaction literally from day one.
From day one. So because you're doing these drills, you're not frightened to get hit.
Yeah.
You know, because this person has to come at you full on. So you're not scared to get hit. Because you're practicing move away and counter at the same time, move and counter. Because Myanmar system, especially the Tiger system, is 2 main principles. Evasion is your attack is your evasion. You know what I mean? So you're constantly coming in. You're constantly coming in, but you're coming at angles and you're moving all the time. You're not there to get hit. Because back in the old days, a lot of the guys that was fighting couldn't afford to wear armor.
Yeah.
So they had to depend on dynamic movement.
Interesting.
You know what I mean? They had to depend on dynamic movement because remember, a lot of these guys were village people.
Yeah.
Some of them can't afford armor. That's why when you look at a lot of the main weaponry in a lot of Asian arts is based on farm tools.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So a lot of them, they couldn't afford armor. So how do you counter that? You can't just stand stagnant in front of someone. No, you have to evade and attack. And your attacks have to be dynamic because if you don't take him out, you might get taken out.
Yeah.
So these are the first thing I'm going to do is teach you the stance, the basis, how to walk, and then dynamic movement straight away. And then you learn these 4 movements. Then I forgot one. One's called Olalum, which means a tree bends in the wind. Yeah, so this is where you're going to get a guy that's going to throw a full kick to your head, and you have to move back and counter him straight away. So when you move back, you counter him, he moves back, he counters you. So you practice this for ages. So it gets you used to moving your head out the way and getting ready to count. You know what I mean? So these are the 4 things you gotta I'm gonna make you master first. Yeah, and then we can work on the other stuff. Because people, you got to understand the reason why we work the feet and the movement first. Because if you move the hands, the body don't follow. If you move the feet, the hands follow. Simple.
Very, very ingenious, yeah.
You understand?
Simple but ingenious.
Yeah.
How you've put it together, and obviously you've that sort of integrated that with some of your own experience of striking and so forth from boxing, and created essentially your own system. Obviously which is the right way, through the line of different teachers, and you add and delete and you make it your own. I know several of your guys that have been with you for quite a while have gone and fought under traditional Muay Thai rules in Thailand, and they've done very well. Can you
Well,
share that?
The truth is, my guys, when they I always make sure they have their first fights in Thailand. Yeah, the reason being is because I want you to know what I teach you, you can take it anywhere around the world and defend yourself.
Yeah.
And it's going to work. You know what I mean? And I've always told my guys, we train with this method. Yeah. The old style can move to the modern style, but the modern style can't move to the old style. See, once you get rooted in the modern style, then the battlefield stuff you ain't gonna really gravitate to it. You're still gonna have those habits you got from learning from the ring for the ring.
Yeah.
But if you learn the battlefield stuff first, then move on to the ring, it fits in better, because remember, the ring stuff came from the battlefield stuff.
Absolutely.
So the ring stuff came from the battlefield stuff because it came about when they were trying to find the best warriors in Thailand, and they were competing from different provinces, bringing their best fighters together. It was so brutal that a lot of fighters got killed. Yeah, and plus their art was used as a way to entertain the king, or to entertain the governor of that region. You know what I mean? But it's mainly about entertaining the king, showing the pride of Thailand. So if the Thais are losing all their best warriors through to in-house competition, who they're going to have to fight enemies? So they had to devise another system that was more milder, so guys can compete without killing each other.
Interesting.
And this is how the ring stuff got born.
Fascinating.
You know what I mean? This is how the ring stuff came about. But the old stuff still stayed there. But because now you got guys who, they're poor, they need a way of making the living. So you got the ring art there where they can become fighters. They can make a living without getting killed. You know what I mean? And again, when you need warriors, you've got good warriors there. They're not dead because they're in-house. You know what I mean? They're not killing each other for competition sake. So this is how the ring stuff came about. And because the ring stuff came about now, a lot of the old methods couldn't get used in the ring because they were too brutal. You know what I mean? And a lot of some of the stuff in the Thai box, in the Muay Thai, has been lost. Because a lot of guys are focusing on the new stuff, which you can't wrong them, because that's how they make their living. You know? So unless you really get someone who's really in the middle of a village, or like I got to train with Paku Bar and learn the real deal, you might not get that. Because a lot of people don't realize that Muay Thai has got a lot of locks and chokes and some ground techniques. You know what I mean? Where you would mainly see it being practiced a lot now is in Muay Thai.
Muay Thai,
You know what I mean? But it's in the Mia Mai too. It's in the Lock Mai too. It's in some of the other Muay Thai arts. You know what I mean? It's in there, but it's in the old systems, not in the new systems. The new system has more, they kept the grappling part, but we're like nowadays fighters focus on the grappling to see who's the strongest. In the old system, the grappling is just there to put you in a position where I can strike or break your neck. You know what I mean? Or break your back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, yeah. So what I've done is I've preserved what I've learned. So I still teach the old me and my system. And then I could teach the ring system that I know. But then there's the Sing To Tong system. And that's my personal system.
Yeah, it's your expression, isn't it?
Yeah, it's my expression of Muay Thai because that is all my fight experience.
Which is a lot.
Right? And all the things that I believe that has worked for me. Any stuff I don't teach is because I don't think it works in the Sing To Tong system.
Yeah.
It doesn't work, so I'm not going to teach it because there's certain things you train and you learn and it's not for fighting, it's just to get the body to move.
Sure.
And a lot of teachers don't explain that to some students and they think they can pull that off where you can't. I always tell them straight, look, we're going to do this, but this is to just get you moving. So when I show you this and you learn this, how to get to move, then I show you the proper application, how to use that. You know what I mean? So if it doesn't work, I'm not using it.
Yeah.
And the most important thing is when you're teaching someone a technique, is to teach them when this technique can work. That is so important because people teach you techniques and you think you can just go and pull it off. If it's not used at the right time or in the right scenario, it will not work.
It's a great point. It's understanding of when to apply it.
Of when to apply it. And I always teach my students, okay, we're going to do this and this is when you should use this move. Yeah? And if you're planning on using it, this is how you set it up.
Yeah.
Because you can't just go and use it just like that. It won't work.
Yeah. So there's a setup for that as well.
Yes. I believe in in 3-point training. What I mean by 3-point training is the beginning, the middle, and the end. But if you see the opportunity, just go to the end.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's always when I'm training you and we're doing drills and stuff, I'm going to show you how to open up, how to start. Then I'm going to show you how to set up for the ending. That's the middle. Then we're going to work on the ending. And then we're going to put all three together. And that's one training session.
Fantastic.
You understand? So I will show you one technique.
Structured. It's very structured.
Yeah, because I want you to listen. I see a lot of guys fight and they can start, but they can't finish. And what they're always doing is going back to the beginning, going back to the beginning, going back to the beginning. Man, if you're not going to read a book till the end, just put it down. It's like watching a movie and you're watching the beginning and you're rewinding it. You're rewinding. Man, just go to the damn end, man. You know what I'm saying? If you're not going to finish something, don't start it.
Yeah.
You know? And I see so much training and so much guys teach, and you're not teaching guys how to finish. Or what you're doing, sometimes you're teaching guys how to finish, but the finish has to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. You know what I mean?
It needs a setup. You need to be physically in that position to be able to
set it up.
Yeah.
To set it up.
Yeah.
And another thing you've got to really work on is to direct your opponent where you want them. You know what I mean?
Do you think that is as applicable in the street where it's different to in a ring situation?
Same. Yeah. Same. Because you can have a guy on the street, like I did with the guy with the gun. I set a trap for him. I set him up. I knew he was going to go for it. And I knew exactly where I want you to aim for. Because the moment you aim for that point, you're going to leave yourself vulnerable. You know what I mean? So I set him up with the words, okay, you got it. Then the middle part, right there, mate, right there. And then the other part, when I do that, he ain't seeing this hand because I've covered it here. The turning of the shoulders, the way I've angled my head, I've hidden my weapon. He ain't going to see it. When he makes that move and comes forward, he's exposed.
Yeah.
I put him in that position.
This kind of sort of detail of insight is something that, you know, not all martial artists get or have, because, you know, a lot of teachers as well don't have that kind of insight, you know, also. So people are just teaching and working towards the best that they can do, which is not a bad thing, but there's levels to it, I believe.
A man can only work with what he knows and what he has.
Yeah.
I'm not here to knock anybody, you know. Whatever you do, as long as you're not harming others, hey, good luck to you, brother. You know what I mean? But I do my thing a little way different.
Yeah. Yeah. So Stan, you're teaching a class.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you tell us where that is?
I'm teaching a class down Gallowell Road in Gallowell Community Centre, Community Hall. That's between South Bermondsey and Surrey Quays.
That's in London.
That's London.
Yeah.
Sorry guys. You can always contact me on my Instagram, Stan Diamond Prescott.
I'll put all of Stan's contact information in the show notes of the video, just below the video. So if anybody feels they'd like maybe to, you know, speak to Stan further, or to come to one of his classes, or to do a private, or, and I say this to anyone out there, any kind of promoters or anyone that is, you know, bringing kind of different teachers in, you know, you would be remiss to not, like, maybe look at the opportunity of getting Stan in as a fantastic striking coach for strategy, for actually precision striking. There's none better, you know, in terms of that. So, you know, guys, I hope this little chat that Stan and I have had has been illuminating. It always is for me, very illuminating, and just hearing some of these stories, not for boasting, but just to kind of put into context what real life is like and what the training hall is like. They can be two different things. But hopefully to have gotten something from it, to think, right, how can we look at our training and see how can we take it up a notch to kind of add a bit more pressure to make it work. Because, like I said, people do martial arts and Silat, you know, they're doing it for different reasons.
Yeah.
Some people don't want to go into a fight. Some people just want it to be a stress relief. Some people just want it to get good fitness. Some people are interested in the art and the culture of it. And obviously then there are those that want to be able to kind of use it as well. But I think everybody across the board should kind of have a basis, like I said earlier, where they can use it. So guys, I hope you've really gotten something from this little podcast today. It's, as I said, it's been a different format. You know, they're quite exposing. I don't like the way I look on it. But, you know, we've got to do what we've got to do. Stan, do you want to add anything?
Well, I'd like to say, everybody who's watching this, whatever you train your martial art for, remember, martial arts is for the great fight of life. And that's not about beating up people. It's not about bullying people. It's about that fight to make yourself a better person than you was yesterday. That fight to make yourself more whole and grounded than you was the day before. That fight to be able to know that you have the power in your hands and to guide it with responsibility. That fight to look after your families and to look after your loved ones and the people who are close to you. It's for the fight of life. Sometimes your fight might be going into your work every day, just getting up out of bed to go to work, or getting up to face your day. Use your martial arts as your fight to do that. The same discipline you use for training, carry that discipline in the rest of your life. And that's all I got to say. Thank you for listening to me, and God bless all y'all.
And with that, thank you guys.